Here's what's different about the key. And the key is founded in science. And there are two types of energy, in fact, two types of nuclear explosion. You never thought you were going to come here and get taught about nuclear physics, did you, Sean? Keep it to chemistry. Two types of nuclear explosion, nuclear energy, and the first is called fusion. And here's what happens in a fusion experiment. A scientist will take an atom, a molecule, and it will bang this atom or molecule at great speed off the other one. Does that make sense? Just bang them together. Let me see you banging your molecules together, Michelle. Bang your molecules. Anyone feel energy in their hands? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask you in 5 minutes, do you still feel the energy, and see what you tell me. So what happens when they bang these molecules together? Energy is released. Does that make sense? Now, if I were to look at that on a graph, here's how it would look. Well, let me ask you first. Does anyone's hand sting as much as it did when we first clapped it? No. So what that energy does is it has a wee explosion and then it dissipates. Does that make sense? It just dissipates. So that's a fusion explosion. Has anyone ever been to a personal development or a motivational course? Let me see your hands to see. Okay, a few of you. Anyone got really excited, really energised, but maybe the Monday they go into their work and their energy's back there. Or in fact, it can happen as quickly as you go home to someone that's not as happy as you, and your energy can come down. Has everyone experienced that? Yeah. The key is to keep your energy up. So that's what happens, energy over time. Lots of things affect that. So the other, where's my black pen? The other type of energy, and one of the things that we think about, lots of motivational courses, well, let me do this first. The second type of nuclear explosion is called fission. And here's what happens on a fission explosion. A scientist takes the same atoms and it binds them together at great speed. Okay? But something different happens. In fact, the scientist takes a catalyst, which is this atom. So this atom is a catalyst. And this catalyst is introduced and it bangs off this other atom. But instead of just energy being given off, this atom splits. And this atom hits off this atom, and this atom splits. And this atom hits off this atom, and this atom splits. Does that make sense? And you get what's called a chain reaction. You get what's called a chain reaction. Now, if I were to look at that in a graph, it would look very differently. Here's how it would look. It would look like this. Energy over time, it would just increase. That's what we believe happens at the key. We just introduced a catalyst. Now this catalyst might be a process, and there are lots of them. It might be a conversation. It might be a thought. It might be a change of belief. It might be a vision. It might be a word. It might be a connection. It might be someone you meet. It can be anything. It can be any number of many, many things. And that's why we can promise you, you will have a positive experience and a catalyst on the key. But the most important thing is this is a very different reaction. This reaction happens, let me write it in green so you can see it. This reaction happens within. Can you see the difference? It happens within you. The change in the reaction will come within you. and your energy. Now, why do we know that will happen? Well, because we teach you awareness and consciousness. And as you begin to expand and learn new things, you can't help, you'll trip over it. So brilliant. You will actually be so energized, and people will energize you and you'll energize them, that you will have this experience. It's an absolute promise. We can promise that and make that a promise. Is that exciting?
Yes.
Don't you just love the science? So that is our promise to you. You will have a catalyst. I want to very